Good afternoon to you all. The strategic environment surrounding the Yemeni support front following the fall of Bashar al-Assad regime and its repercussions that lead some sort of imbalance in the power forces in the region. Also, we should pay attention and be aware that the issue of the support amid the absence of the Lebanese ally, which is Hezbollah, following the ceasefire with the Israeli ally, does not mean the absence of the resistance group, but the ability provided by the Yemen and its capabilities to dominate the Red Sea and what they made in the siege of the occupied Palestinian post and launching the strategic missiles that reached Tel Aviv, in which that forming a great or a big equation by targeting the Yemeni airport. And in return, the Yemenis, the Houthis, has already targeted Tel Aviv and hit the a generation plant of electricity that firstly is in supporting Gaza and to retaliate at the Israeli aggression to Yemen and
Yes, sir.
bomb.
Speaking of this point specifically, I want to assess the Houthis' actions. The Houthi strikes seem to be intensifying against Israel, with it targeting significant infrastructure like Ben Gurion Airport, like you've mentioned. How do the Houthis' actions in Yemen impact the broader regional security dynamics?
The Yemenis report and its strategic objectives of military strategies that imposed that the Yemen has a regional power that would influence its surrounding and is capable to hold the geopolitics in its rhythm and that is linked to the Red Sea, through which that seized Israel. So that's why they are capable to change the theory of the general that the maritime force is relying such as the anti-missiles ships, but the Houthis changed this concept by using the drones and the small rockets ballistic and hit the aircraft carriers, either American or Western. Therefore, the surrounding countries, as the Yemen, the Arab regional countries, and even Israel has its military bases, and I think this matter would affect the strategic ability of Yemen.
Speaking of the United States, the U.S. Central Command has announced the targeting of Houthi sites in the Yemeni capital, Sana'a. And from here, I would like to ask you, what are the potential consequences for U.S. policy in the Middle East, given the Pentagon's continued strikes on Houthi targets?
In fact, we always listen since the establishment of the old allies, the British American allies of the big powers in targeting Yemen. We always hear bombing military sites, infrastructure, and storage, but it became clear that Yemen, due to its big geographical sites, and chose their ability in burden and overcoming its burdens. And I think what the U.S. is doing will pay the price. From one hand, the hostility of the surrounding countries in the region, and what's happening now, even going to continue upon the elect President Trump to take his office in January. I think that will be a change in the concept of this matter. I do not say that he is not going to impose a peace, but he said that he will put an end to the chaos. We will have to wait what's going to happen, and we shouldn't forget that Yemen has a great experience in the war against these allies, and is capable to use its capabilities and to launch from hidden spots due to the lack of the intel of the big power such as Israel about the sites and the infrastructure.
Now, with this wave of escalation between the Houthis and Israel being quite distinctive, how has the international community, including the UN, responded to the ongoing conflict between the Houthis and Israel, particularly in terms of diplomacy and peace efforts?
I think that the military operation that has taken place, or the aggression committed by Israel throughout the region, not only against Yemen. They started by the process of the mass genocide against Gaza, then Lebanon and Syria, and today in Yemen. And I think the United Nations that I consider it that this is the League of Nations previously wish, but they cannot do. And I think that the most easiest way is for the international community, if it is capable to impose its ability to put an end of the war in Gaza, and then will stand the support war from Yemen. But for the international community to deter the Israeli aggressions, their violations of the charters of the agreements of the United Nations related to Syria and Lebanon, and push Israel to go out from Syria, the occupied land, and do not threaten the return of the Lebanese refugees in the southern of Lebanon, and should withdraw from the southern of Lebanon also.
Now, sir, how do you assess the Houthis' military capabilities in the ongoing tensions, and how might this influence future conflict in the region?
The military capabilities of Houthis, with the lack of information about it, as the Houthis are using the hidden disclosures policy of what they have and their capabilities. But according to what we see from through their military operations, and they surprise us each time by launching supersonic missiles and diversified and more than one types of missiles, and a great arsenal that were capable to stand in front of the previous allies, or during the previous war against Saudi Arabia and the Western countries, whereas Saudi, UAE, Sudan, Britain, and European countries, the Yemen has managed to struggle and wasn't only in the stance of defense, but replaced by the function by launching the ballistic ballistic missiles towards Saudi Arabia today, based on our witnesses and our knowledge of what they did before and what they did today in Tel Aviv by hitting the electrical plant and the Ben Gurion airport. I think by owning the supersonic missiles, the know-how and the capability of driving these missiles, and most importantly, the intel in hiding the systems away from the enemy, and as well as the American, and this would influence that Yemen will be in a very effective regional state in the sphere of the Red Sea,